Welcome along, one and all. It is season 4, episode 10, I believe, of the UK Dallas Cowboys podcast. We're having a nice fireside chat this evening between myself and Graham Wilson. Graham, how are things?
It's like one of those weird shows, you know, An Evening with Alex Ferguson.
There we go. I mean, we have the Scottish influence in yourself. We have the Irish influence here, so let's hope there's no Roy Keane moments. But I suppose, look, we're on the edge of the season. It is nearly here. We're 2 nights away from the big kickoff, the Bills and the Rams. You know, it's nearly time. The preseason is over.
It's quite a good Thursday night football as well. To get the Rams on, and the Bills are obviously going to be a good team again this year. So, yeah. It's amazing how time flies. You know, it doesn't seem so long ago where we coughed our way out of the playoffs, and before you know it, we're back at it.
Like, I would say this has probably been one of the longest off seasons for me that we've had. I don't know if it's just that I was doing things in the background and wasn't on you guys as much, but it feels an awful lot longer to me. But maybe it is just me.
I think it's just we've had so much turbulence. We really have so much turbulence, especially on offense. It seems pretty status quo on D. We've only had a couple of I mean, obviously Randy Gregory's away, but like the bad press we've had over the offensive line, and the Cooper trade, and so it was just one thing after another. The Gallup injury, but we don't seem to be in the public eye as much as we normally are. I don't know if that's. I suppose that's what you get when you draft an offensive tackle over a wide receiver or a quarterback. You don't. It's not a sexy move, but it was needed. Just a shame it wasn't added to.
Yeah, like I touching back on something that I mentioned last week when we were on Tuesday night. I was saying that we've all of our draft class from this year, all of our draft class from last year, are all on the roster this year, you know, and there's nothing sexy happening with the Cowboys at the minute, and we're going to touch on that later, you know, but you just want some kind of a headline, and not a Jerry Jones headline.
Yeah. You know, it would be just like the Cowboys to give up next year's one for somebody, wouldn't it? You know, somebody coming to the last year of the contract, their current team doesn't want to pay them. We give up next year's one. And the contract stuff starts all over again. We pay them X amount of $1 million over 4 years, and they turn it to be a dud.
Well, myself and yourself and Rich did discuss at length giving up next year's one and possibly 2024's one as well. But I don't know if that's going to happen.
No, not who we were discussing. No, it'd be crazy to give him up. But
yeah. But we'll just before we go any further, we'll jump into. So the the most basic news and updates that we have is Jason Peters, 40-year-old left tackle, has been signed. We finally have a left tackle, Graham.
We do. We do. Hopefully that keeps Tyler Smith in at left guard. Like I'm seeing all sorts of comments on Twitter that Peters won't start. I don't know where you're getting from that. They're not. They're not going to bring Jason. Jason Peters isn't going to sign off the. He's not going to sign off the street to sit on a bench. If he's going to, I mean, he's made his money. He is ready to ride off into the sunset. He's coming onto a team to start. Now, whether he's been waiting the whole off season for a starting position, that's up to him. I said in our private chat that it was anything that puts Conor McGovern back on the bench is good in my book. The only other concern I have with it is that I just hope that he was waiting for big money and an opportunity, because for the first few months of the season, there'll always be a voice in the back of my head saying, well, why wasn't he signed in April or May or June or July or August? You know, it's almost as if, right, who's left? Who's out there that we could get? Jason Peters. Right, okay, go and get Jason Peters. It's not as if he wasn't the plan in April. He's the plan a week before the season starts. Read into that what you will. But if Tyron Smith doesn't go down, does Jason Peters play in 2022? Probably. I mean, sooner or later, somebody will tear a hamstring, but you know, it's kind of like, right, what's Plan B? And Plan B turned out to be Jason Peters.
Yeah, like I suppose the thing with Jason Peters is we know what he is. We've played against him often enough to know his abilities, but it's still a 40-year-old man you're bringing in. You know, and is he going to be able for another season of NFL football? I mean, I think he played started 11 games for the Bears last year, but you know, there's diminishing returns.
It doesn't strike me as a 17-game player. Not at his age. I think they'll have to manage his veteran days, his days off. Again, it's a running theme, but I'd be amazed if he played all 17 games. I'd be quite happy to get 12 games out of Jason Peters, to be perfectly honest. And if it's 12 games at the start of the season and you move Tyler out to left tackle when he goes down, it's not ideal, but it's better than starting him on Sunday night with Tom Brady rolling into town. So I suppose if they can bring in a bit of experience as opposed to throwing all the pieces up in the air and see where they land, then I suppose that's better. But I don't think anybody's pretending that it's ideal.
No.
Because like I said, in last week's show, the best 32 tackles in the league have a job. Once you go past 32, it's, you know, it definitely starts to drop off, because there aren't 32 starting caliber tackles. There are
not left tackles.
There are maybe 20 odd and 12 that they're work in progress. Like, for instance, yeah, it's not ideal, but it's certainly a better situation than it was last week.
Yeah. And I suppose, look, moving along to the next point that we kind of said we discuss. So Peters had been signed to the practice squad for now, and the big concern we have at the minute is that we're being very flexible with what we're doing with our cap space, and the new rules which came in as part of the COVID protocols were that you could elevate 2 members of your practice squad a week to your match day roster. And as things stand, we have Jason Peters, who we assume is our de facto left tackle. Brett Maher is on the practice squad, who is our kicker. And we don't have a second quarterback on the roster. So how do you see the juggling happening on that? You know, like I think the talk was that they were going to elevate 2 of them for 3 weeks and then decide what happens.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking pre-show. Somebody could be on the phone to Brett Maher's agent right now. Do you want to come and play for us? We'll sign you. We'll sign you to a 2-year deal right now. And he's off.
Yeah.
Takes off. He's on the first plane out of Fort Worth. So, that's a little bit frightening, if I'm honest. I mean, like 6 days till the season starts. Well, our season starts, and we have no signed kicker. Now, there must have been conversations. There must have been conversations. Look, Brett, you're our guy. Trust us.
Yeah.
We're going to leave you in the practice squad for now, and you'll get your game check on Sunday. I tell you what, I'd be pretty disappointed if they signed somebody tonight or tomorrow, not called Brett Maher, because he's showing a little bit of faith in the Cowboys here, I think. Because for all we know, there may well have been a phone call to Maher's agent. I mean, certainly getting around the practice squad conundrum. Is it crazy that they send somebody off the street instead of Maher? Throw him a jersey and ask him to go and do it, because you can only elevate 2 off the practice squad, but you can sign whoever you like. If they're not on the practice squad, you could literally phone anybody right now who's a free agent.
Was that your phone going for?
It was
Jerry Jones from Texas.
No, they haven't traded for Cooper Kupp just yet. Not just yet. So I'll turn that off.
It's still in the works.
The Cooper Kupp trade is still to go through. Anyway, so kicker situation concerning. I think Peters goes in straight away. He'll have the experience to do that. Is he football ready? Probably not. I'd imagine he'll be fit enough, but when was the last time somebody bull rushed him? And you want to put him in? I mean, I'm presuming that Peters starts. I think it'd be quite concerning if Tyler Smith started at left tackle. I'm just assuming Peters starts, but the Buccaneers pass rush escapes me right now, but I would imagine it's a pretty good unit. So that's concerning as well.
I mean that was the pass rush which won them the Super Bowl in 2020.
Well,
I mean Tom Brady was Tom Brady, but it was really their defense beat the Chiefs that day.
And you go, Brian, sorry.
Like the concerning thing for me looking at it is you saw what the Chiefs went out and did last off season ahead of the 2021 season. they addressed the roll line. They went and got Orlando Brown, brought him in. The Bengals got destroyed in the Super Bowl on the pass rush. They went out and addressed the roll line in the offseason just past. And we're still sitting here with question marks over who's our starting left tackle and who's our starting left guard 5 days out from the season kicking off.
Well, it's Akeem Hicks and William Golson with Vita Vea as the nose tackle.
Yeah. They also have Shaq Barrett and Devin White
as a linebacker
who can rush as well from the linebacker position. Yeah. You know, so they're a full press front seven. They all rush and they all get at the quarterback. You know.
Yep,
that's what you're facing into.
That's concerning.
Yeah.
But at least they've made a move. I would imagine that Conor McGovern goes back to the bench. They stick with Smith, hopefully at guard. Peters goes straight in at tackle. I mean, I'm assuming he's up to fitness. Like he's been looking after himself because we don't have time to give him a month to get fit and then like game ready. It's got to be now. I hope that conversation's been had. I haven't seen anything to suggest that he's not ready, but he'll need to be ready.
He will indeed. And I suppose, like, look, if we flip it the other way, we also have to elevate quarterback for Sunday's game. You know, like I understand why they made the move they did, but I just don't understand the reasons behind it. You know, you have to have a second quarterback when you're playing. You know, so is there, like, kind of looking down through the depth chart, is there a cornerback? Is there a linebacker they could have cut? Because they've gone very, very, very long on those positions. And hope that linebacker would come back through waivers.
Mm-hmm. The only thing I can think of is that they've been unsure about the 52nd and the 53rd players on the roster. Now, whether that be, we have quite a few linebackers at the minute. We have a fair few defensive linemen. So whether they're making the decision on player A or player B, and then they drop out and Rush or Maher comes in for them. But you know what? You also have to look. I don't see enough of this chat that they're out there. They're out there right now. And unless there's some kind of agreement with the Cowboys, no one's picked up the phone. Could Cooper Rush come and play for Team X in the AFC, whatever? Quick, get me Brett Maher's agent on the phone. We need Brett Maher.
Yeah.
Do you see where I'm coming from? It's like they're not sought after guys because maybe I'm doing them a disservice. Maybe there is agreement with the Cowboys that they will be on the roster by Sunday morning. But I still think it's a valid point that they are effectively free agents. I mean, they're signed to the practice squad, but that means next to nothing. It really does mean next to nothing. Unless they're exclusive. Are either of them exclusive?
No. So I think the way the practice squad moves is, and if anyone is listening in or watching in and disagrees and knows this, just say it. But I think it is a case that if a team rings and asks Brett Maher if he wants to go, say the Saints need a kicker, that we can elevate him or he can walk and go to the Saints. so that I think we do still have first refusal, but we'd then have to make the roster move, which would trigger him being elevated. And I mean, this is the thing: is who are our 51, 52, and 53, and why are we going into Sunday night with Jason Peters, Brett Maher, and our backup quarterback on our practice squad and not on our 53?
It's quite concerning, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is quite concerning. I mean, I've still not ruled out the possibility that they snag somebody else from somebody else's depth chart. Did someone say Colin Kaepernick? You get what I mean? Like something along those lines. Wouldn't that just be a Jerry move?
Oh yeah,
wouldn't
it absolutely would.
I mean, they're obviously not head over heels about Cooper Rush because they're quite happy to leave him out there. I mean, I don't see the conversation involving Ben DiNucci or any of the other guys. I think it's all I hear is Cooper Rush. I don't know if you've heard any different, but
no, like I mean, I'm very much on the Will Greer train as being the backup, but I don't think they're on the train. So DiNucci was there for 2 years, didn't really show anything. McCarthy, like you're familiar with the Green Bay Packers, and McCarthy always tended to draft a quarterback every year. Did take one this year, so I'm at a loss to tell you what is the backup quarterback situation, and we're effectively right now we're one snap away from our season being over before it even starts, because Dak Prescott could get injured in the first snap of the season, and your season's over.
I get that, and I totally agree with that. But I still don't think it's an excuse to say, "Oh well, four's down. That's the season done." You should still try. You should still try, and you should still try and win the division, the playoffs. Especially with this defense. Did you notice I didn't say offense there?
No, I knew you were saying defense, and for a reason, because that's our team now.
There's been too many retractions on offense for my liking, and I struggle to think when the last time was that I would back our defense over the offense. I would say if you put the ball on the 50-yard line and ask it like 2-minute drill, you run the 2-minute drill with our offense and our defense, and you basically put them up against one another. I'm taking the defense. I fully expect the defense to come away with a field goal. I just think it's a better unit, and anybody out there, if you agree with me, let us know. If you disagree, tell me why. But the defense is just a better unit. I think there's more hits on defense. There's they seem to have hit on the defensive picks. I know all the picks are still on from the last 2 years, but we've addressed our defense because our offense has been so good. I mean, let's be fair, it has been good. But tide's turning. And it's not team. I don't think it will be Team 40 Burger anymore. I think it will be a more sensible scoreline. And thankfully, I think we've got the defense to deal with that and to cope with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the great thing with the defense last year was I don't remember many blowouts or many 30-plus points a game given up at any stage. Now I'm open to being corrected on that, but if games were tight, you fancied us to come through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, up until January, unfortunately, when it all went a bit flat.
Yeah.
But yeah, to go back to the original point, I'd love to be on a fly in the wall in the quarterback's room, because I mean, being Cooper Rush and turning up every day, whether there's an agreement or not, I mean, how's Cooper Rush feeling right now? Like, I'd be like, well, am I wanted or not? Because right now, you owe me nothing. I owe you nothing. And if somebody picks up the phone and asks me to be the backup on Sunday, can I afford to turn that down? Because the team the Cowboys could go and do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I'd love to know if there's an agreement in there, because right now we were talking in the 53-man chat, considering keeping 3 quarterbacks with one on the depth chart. Now, right now, that's well short. I still think it's got to be down to a decision at linebacker, defensive end, or possibly wide receiver. That would be the 3 areas for me.
Yeah, because you have 7 wide receivers, I think, on the roster as it stands, and we're not going to play 7. We're not going to use 7. I mean, we have Gallup, we don't know what his situation is, so maybe he's a move that happens to elevate Peters. And then you just don't know what you have. Like, you've CeeDee Lamb, who we've said repeatedly, we're not sure if he's a number 1 receiver. Jalen Tolbert, who you don't know what he's capable of, because has he faced it at Southern Alabama? And you have Noah Brown. Noah Brown's your 3rd choice receiver, who's a blocking receiver.
I said it, I think it was it Tuesday or Thursday show, what a difference a year makes. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think it was last Tuesday you did say, like, I mean, going into last season, you had Cooper, Gallup, Lamb, Cedric Wilson had a great season and earned his money in Miami, and best of luck to the guy. He deserved it, but Jesus, where are we? Like, as I think it's you made the point repeatedly, CeeDee Lamb is the only wide receiver Dak Prescott has thrown a touchdown past on this roster.
Wow, that's scary. I mean, look who Tom Brady has at his disposal.
Yeah.
Now you could argue that we're getting a little bit close to pre-game, so I'll try not touch on pre-game. But look around the other units in the league. I mean, you could argue that they've got a couple of declining players in that Buccaneers wide receiver room, but I like their room more than ours.
Yeah.
I mean, there has been no Team 40 Burger chat that I can think of.
No.
Shout out to Joe from Italy. Thanks for sharing the content, Joe. Love it.
Yeah.
Looking across the line, it's very, very young. And I don't know if you saw. I forget which station reported it, but Dak was quoted as saying we'll be fine. And I thought it's a horrible question to ask Dak, because what is he meant to say? Is he meant to come out and say, I am extremely concerned about our young guys? Michael Gallup needs to come back as soon as possible. CeeDee Lamb needs to be the number one that we all want him to be. That only just adds pressure.
Yeah.
So it's a tough situation for Dak to be in. Now I know the connection between Dak and Cooper wasn't maybe what we wanted it all to be, especially on the road. But at least Cooper drew attention.
Yeah.
Who is the focus on in that wide receiver room at the moment? It's CeeDee Lamb. But do you have to double CeeDee Lamb? You know, could you not just
Not
put him
really.
on? Could you not just put your best corner on him and play a spread rather than, I don't know. It's all ifs, buts, and maybes right now. But
Yeah.
like I said a couple of weeks ago or last week, it's the unknown that's concerning. Now we could be looking back on these videos in the middle of October and going, oh, what were we worried about? You know, this is Team 40 Burger. We're watching Team 40 Burger, putting teams to bed by the end of the third quarter and so on. But right now, it's difficult to see it on paper. You could see it. You could see it on paper last year. Like we could obviously pick out, you know, he'll get 12 touchdowns. He'll get at least 10 touchdowns. He'll get 8.
Yeah.
Right now, you've only got so many touchdowns on that receiver core. Welcome to Dallas, Jalen Tolbert. I hope you're ready.
So the next thing I wanted to talk to you about, and if anyone hasn't seen it, so Mike wrote up an article yesterday, and I think he posted last night on the roster, and what he thought was good, what he thought was bad, kind of when you compare what we had last season to this season. So I'm kind of looking at, so he has the quarterback up, running back up, wide receiver down, tight end up, offensive line massively down. Like, that's your offense. Would you agree with that, or was Mike being generous, or?
It's difficult to see Dak as improved because he's well into his second contract now.
Yeah.
He'll have less time to throw the ball, and his wide receivers are down.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? So I don't. Yeah. I want to believe, but I don't see the evidence.
Yeah.
But for me, it's never been an accuracy issue or a clutch issue.
No.
I think he's a great quarterback, but I would go grey arrow, you know, arrow left or arrow right or whatever you want to point it. It's definitely not down.
Yeah.
It's definitely not down.
Yeah.
Don't see where it gets better.
Yeah.
Because the supporting cast is less.
Yeah.
Moving on to running back. It's going to be a pressure situation for Zeke because of his contract, which I will state again is not his fault. This is the chickens coming home to roost. The Cowboys have restructured Zeke Elliott. The Cowboys have restructured Zeke Elliott. The Cowboys have restructured Zeke Elliott. This is where it catches up because you've got all this guaranteed money that you can't move on from. The Cowboys are not going to cut Zeke Elliott at any point this season. It's not going to happen because they simply can't afford to. He looks good. He does look. He looks a lot leaner. But again, is the offensive line going to let him do that? Is Zeke's first point of contact going to be behind the offensive line? Right now, coming from the left side of the line is a bigger question mark than the right. with Zeke Elliott, I would say probably it's an up. With Tony Pollard, I would say it's an up as well, simply because I think you're about to see Tony Pollard's passing game explode. I would say a lot of the quick routes, the swings and all that kind of stuff, the quick out to Tony Pollard, I think will be important this year. And I don't know, Rico Dowdle, so. I don't see.
Yeah.
I make the point frequently on the show. They've only got one ball, and are you going to see Rico Dowdle enough to judge him? I'm not so sure.
I can't see it.
He's spot on with offensive line. That is arrow down. I don't think you'll find anybody that will disagree with that. I think his tight end review is very reliant on Dalton Schultz taking the next step in his process. I remain to be convinced about Jake Ferguson and Peyton Hendershot. I still think Ferguson is a move tight end as opposed to a pass catching tight end.
Yeah,
and we need a pass catching tight end, and if they lose Schultz, that position gets really thin really fast. So probably an arrow up for tight end. No, I would probably agree with that. If put on the spot, I would probably agree with it. What were the other ones?
So that was the offensive side of the ball, and I think to be fair to Mike, I mean he did make the point. Look, it's based on Dak being up was based on he'll be fitter than he was last season. He won't have the nagging doubt of, oh God, what happens with contact. He should be able to get back to his own running game. That Zeke and Tony are both fit, but the one concern for me is every year we hear, and you say this almost every show about Tyron, he's looking lean, he's looking fit, he's ready to go. Bang. There was something there the whole time. And I have the same feeling around Dak, around Zeke, and the fact that the O-line is so inexperienced and being put together with masking tape worries me for both of their sakes, because you're reliant on those five guys. And I mean, I wrote an article there about a month ago on Zach Martin about, he is the most important player on our roster, and I still hold true on that. Everything else worries me.
I mean, on Dak, wasn't the injury because he felt like he had to do too much?
Yeah.
If the pocket is going to collapse on Dak, surely that's a green light to take off.
Mm-hmm.
So he takes off on the run, and then bad things happen. We won't go over it, but I'm sure we all remember. So that's a concern. But he's probably right on the injury front. I would say that Dak he's another year removed from the injury, and hopefully it's non-recurring.
Yeah. So if we flip it over to the defensive side of the ball, so we have depth, we have ability, we seem to have a lot of raw materials. So Mike had the defensive ends, he had them up, he had the defensive tackles, he had them massively up, linebackers up massively, cornerbacks up hugely, and safety up hugely. I mean, how many times in recent years have we gone into a season and said, our secondary is decent, our defensive line is decent, and I'm going to qualify that in a second, and that our linebacker core is decent.
Well, starting off in the trench, I mean, I struggle to see how Sam Williams is an upgrade on Randy Gregory.
Yeah.
We all know my feelings on Tank. Let's not go into that. Tank will be who he's been. I've no doubt about Tank, but it's the other side you've got to worry about.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, ESPN have Dorrance Armstrong down as the starter.
Yeah.
Alternatives are Dante Fowler, Basham, Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, Dorrance Armstrong, the enigma. You hear about him in August. You hear about him in August and forget about him in September. Sam Williams has had he's flashed with a couple of good moves, but he's still not an upgrade on Randy Gregory. He's got a bit more to go to be on the same level as Randy Gregory. So I think Mike is looking to the future with that one, as opposed to right now.
And he did. To be fair, he did say that it is more on a projection basis in terms of we know what Tank and Dorrance Armstrong are. You have Terrell Basham and Dante Fowler there. Golson is in the second year and will be improving. So it's a concern for me as well, but not as much of a concern for the defensive tackle spot.
Defensive tackles, I would say, will be arrow up. There's been no major losses on it. Everybody's a year older. Tristan Hill has realised that he's in a contract year. How often do we say that about Cowboys players? That they sleep through their first 3 years, realise it's a contract year, have the best career, have a career year, and then go off to win a Super Bowl somewhere else. Mike says that all the time. We just let them sail into the sunset, and they go and win a Super Bowl with somebody else. It's a fairly extensive list. Anybody out there, you should look it up. Odigizua and Gallimore, I expect to ascend. So I'll agree with that one.
The concern for me, and I think this was why they picked up John Ridgway, is in the 49ers game in the playoffs, 49ers ran all over us. We still don't have that Vita Vea that is going to block up and clog up the middle of the line.
Mm-hmm.
And that concerns me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why O-line and D-line go so early on day one of the draft, because they're rare. They're rare guys. If you don't pick one in the top 20, there's not a red flag, but there's work in progress to be made somewhere, because they're not polished. And goodness, we've seen the NFC East draft enough of them in recent years, basically to go after our offense, to go after, think of the guys that have come into the NFC East over the past 3 or 4 years, to get at the Cowboys, basically. It's a young set of guys, and I think you basically have to treat it like that. I do agree with you. It lacks bulk. It lacks a little bit of size. But you've also got to weigh that up against the quick twitch in players. The first step. If they can be more effective, I think they can compensate for size. But bottom line, I would agree with Mike on that one.
Yeah. So then the next one that he had linebackers, so he had them up 5 points. LV is healthy. We've heard that before. Jabril Cox is healthy. Parsons is in a sophomore season. Anthony Barr has been added, and then you have Damone Clark, who's NFI, Luke Gifford, Devin Harper. I'm still not convinced, and I don't know if the team has just broken me in terms of what's there, but I'm not convinced.
Well, again, 2 starters in a contract year, so there you are. There's our third player, our third starter in a contract year. So maybe we're going to get a decent play out of them. I've seen enough of Anthony Barr over the years when my dad being a Packers fan. Couple of late hits on Rodgers that he keeps referring to. Van Der Esch, I still think they believe in Van Der Esch, but they weren't willing to pick up the fifth-year option. I mean, that turned out to be a smart move, effectively.
Saved them $6 million, I think.
They want him to be the guy, but they're not sold just yet. You have Jabril Cox waiting in the wings. The ESPN actually have Anthony Barr as a starter, the weak side starter. So that could be a good signing. And then you've got Micah Parsons, who just colossal Pro Bowler. So Mike had it up. Is that right?
Yeah. He had it up 5 points.
Yeah, I have to agree. Yeah, I have to agree because you've brought in a little bit of experience with Barr. You've got a bit of a break on the Van Der Esch contract. Jabril Cox is hopefully still an ascending player. Damone Clark's still around. Harper's still around. Gifford's been there for a while. So again, it's a young unit. It is a young unit. I think it was yourself, Brian, that said the Cowboys are the third youngest team in the NFL. So they've got their young guys, and hopefully those younger guys are hungry, as opposed to bringing in a B-list free agent who doesn't have it anymore. And to be fair, they've done that with Anthony Barr, but again, maybe they're just sitting on these younger guys thinking they're not quite ready just yet, and Barr with the experience just makes that group a little bit older. Because I mean, outside of Barr, I think the oldest player in that core is Van Der Esch.
Yeah,
he's still quite young. So, how old is Luke Gifford?
Gifford, I think, is 25. I think he was the same class as Van Der Esch.
Gifford's 27.
27.
You're right. This is his 4th year, so he's a little bit older. But in terms of NFL experience, they're there or thereabouts. So again, still, 3rd, 4th year. They're not necessarily finished product just yet. I mean, anybody that's been watching Hard Knocks, the guy they call Rodrigo, you know what I'm talking about? The linebacker.
Martin Rodriguez,
Was he a 5th or a 6th round pick and they expect him to start?
I believe he was a 7th round pick. I
mean, that's got the potential to be a tremendous pick. If he comes in, starts day one, that's a hell of a pickup. So maybe that's the thinking. Maybe they're thinking if we go younger, hungrier, we'll see who rises. See who rises to the top. You start picking enough of them, you're going to get talent out it sooner or later. Yeah, I would agree on linebacker.
Yeah. So then, lastly, my much beloved secondary. So Mike had the cornerbacks up by a score of 7 and the safeties up by a score of 6. Would you agree?
I certainly wouldn't put it arrow down.
Yeah.
We've kept pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Remember who were the subtractions? Which safety?
So safety, it was Wanye Thomas and Tyler Coyle were the two that dropped out, and I think Thomas is back on the practice squad.
Yeah, that's a
good point, Joseph.
Yeah. Joseph, I don't know if you know, but we were talking who could drop out of the 52, 53 man positions to make way for Rush, Maher, etc. There's every chance that Kelvin Joseph could be the guy, which stings because he was a second round pick last year. So that right now, I can't help but think it looks like a bust, which is unfortunate. It's unfortunate, especially when at the minute we still have the last 2 classes still on the team. Deron Bland looks like a good addition. Nishawn Wright, hopefully he develops. Diggs is a Pro Bowler. Anthony Barr is the guy that just gets it done. I remember I had serious concerns about Anthony Barr going into the season in terms of his contract. I thought he could have been a cap casualty. He earned that money twice over. And Jordan Lewis we all know who Jordan Lewis is. He's maybe not going to send too much, but you know what you're getting. You're getting a fairly solid player. He'll be the third choice, I reckon. So, everybody gets a year older, a bit more experienced, and hopefully Anthony Brown stays at a good level. And if they can do that, if Diggs can reduce on the risk a little bit on the big play, but still maintain the interceptions, we've got a quality player on our hands, especially for a second round pick. So, not concerned about cornerback at all. Isn't that refreshing to say? And safety, Malik Hooker stays on the team. Hopefully, gets more and more reps. Still got Donovan Wilson, Israel Mukwamo. Could Mukwamo play a little at corner? Possibly.
He could in a pinch because he played most of his college ball at corner.
And then Jaron Kearse, he's been a superb signing. So the back end, very little concern about the back end. Joseph, that's the problem. That's the problem. I mean, for me, that's why they look these guys in the eye at the combine, and they say, "What's going to happen when I hand you so many millions of dollars?" And the rap career has, I mean, effectively, Joseph's signing bonus has allowed him to do these things, and that's every so often you're going to get players like that. You're going to get, you hand them the huge signing bonus before the season's even started, and they just look at their bank account and the drive drops a little bit. Who they're friends with gets a little bit more of a concern, and yeah, it looks unfortunate for Kelvin right now, but hopefully he can turn things around. If he turns things around and becomes part of the team, it's only going to make them better. So, but again, with Daron Bland, his addition could cover for that. That he looks like a good pick.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say on this is this time last year, none of us were sure on Trayvon Diggs whether the pick was a good pick or a bad pick, and a year on, we're going, damn, we got it wrong. So maybe Kelvin Joseph proves us wrong in the next season. Would I bet on it? I wouldn't, but that's just me.
I think because he played so little last year isn't helping. I mean, I think Diggs played straight from the off, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
I mean, just brought up Kelvin Joseph's stats. 16 tackles on the whole of last year. 2 passes defended, 3 assisted tackles. It's not a great return for a second round pick, is it? You expect, especially on the depth chart at the time, you really needed your second round pick to come in day one and start, and it just didn't happen. We've talked about, is the off field going to be too much? Because they've used a lot of draft capital on cornerback. So they've got people ready.
Yeah, and this is my issue almost every year with the Dallas Cowboys second round draft pick. There seems to always be an issue or a concern, and like Connor Williams, when he was signed, there was concern there. Tristan Hill, Diggs,
still questionable.
Kelvin Joseph, Sam Williams, questionable. There's bar Connor Williams and Trayvon Diggs to a lesser extent. All the rest of them have had major character flaws and character concerns within them, and it just seems to be every year. You can bank on 2 things. The Raiders will do something crazy in the first round and will end up cutting that player within 2 years, and we'll take someone with character concerns in the second round.
I mean, the second round is always going to be a player who fell out of the first round for a specific reason.
Yeah.
That there maybe wasn't something up to scratch, or there was something off field, or something happened on campus, or something happened off campus, or there's an injury involved, like with Smith. I don't know. See if they're going to roll the dice on that pick.
Yeah,
I would say that the odds or the results need to be a little bit better than they've been. I would say we hit on maybe. I mean, you could call Smith a hit because he did get the second contract.
Yeah,
Diggs is obviously a hit. He's a Pro Bowler, so sooner or later it's going to work out. It's just you have to take the lumps with it. So it's maybe, I don't know, just off the top. Maybe works 1 in every 4.
Yeah.
So hopefully Sam Williams is the next one. If he can go opposite Lawrence and turn in the kind of numbers that Randy Gregory was producing, certainly you've saved an awful lot of money if that happens. So again, more ifs and question marks. We can't really comment on it just yet because we don't know. But it has the potential to be better.
So the last question, Graham, that I have for you, and before we get out of here, we are going to do a quick fire question.
Before we move on, DJ Dog's comment. That's probably the best one.
Sean Lee, yeah. Sean Lee and Bruce Carter.
I mean, Pro Bowler. Sean Lee.
Yeah.
I have his jersey in the other room.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Cowboys of all time.
Yeah.
Again, that's why they're not first round picks. You know, they have an asterisk next to their name.
Yeah.
And certainly DJ Dog saying that he was a hit.
Yeah.
So that he is the one out of the four, and they do come along, but it's a roll of the dice, effectively.
Yeah. So before we go, we are going to do a quick fire round with Graham, just in terms of the upcoming season. But the final question we said we were going to talk about, Graham, was that on this roster, on this 53-man roster, the Dallas Cowboys have drafted 46 of the 53 players on the roster. We all know that the Cowboys are now building through the draft. They're not spending big on free agency. And we've kind of seen in recent years with the Rams, with the Buccaneers, that you need to spend a little bit in free agency, if not a lot. And do you feel the philosophy is upside down? Do you feel it needs a little bit of rebalancing? Or do you feel they're doing the right thing in building through the draft?
Certainly, the vast majority of Super Bowl winners build through the draft.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that the Rams have mortgaged their future to win it.
Yeah.
But that's only going to last so long.
Mm-hmm.
They have a good team just now, but they have very, very little character. Capital left to go and that team in the future. Matthew Stafford's not going to get any younger. I mean, how do the Rams see the quarterback position playing out? Stafford's not going to play forever. Certainly, I would expect their next first round pick to be a quarterback.
Which I think is in 2027.
It just shows. They've spent third, fourth round picks on 1 year rentals. Guys on teams that aren't going to be Super Bowl contenders. They've got huge contracts that aren't going to be renewed. And the Rams thought, right, let's go and take this player from them for a third or fourth and go and win it this year. It remains to be seen whether they're contenders this year. Everybody on that team's like a year older. I don't know what the average age of it is. But when you're dealing with undrafted guys, late round guys, you can't hit on every single one. But to go back to the question, there's nothing worse than bringing in a player who another team let go. If you're on the street, your previous team said, we don't feel that you're worth what you want. My question to that straight away is why? I mean, you get the odd exception like
Von Miller.
Yeah, guys that hit the market basically because there's a difference there. Von Miller thinks he's worth this. The Rams thought he was worth that, and he left. And he got it from somewhere else. He almost got it from us. But yeah, that for me, that's why the vast majority of free agents hit the market. with draft picks, you can kind of mold them into what you want them to be.
Yeah.
Free agents, you're dealing with somebody that's played for somebody else. He's learned a different system. He's maybe not had the taste of success, or he's had too much success, and he gets to another team who aren't Super Bowl contenders and gets frustrated, or he's a downward projected player. I think building through the draft is the best way to go. I mean,
Yeah.
for me, it's look at the Patriots. When did the Patriots ever spend big? You know, they take prototype players in the third, fourth, because they know they can do a specific job. They're not Swiss Army knives, but they can do a specific job in that defense, and that's why Belichick likes them so much. I can't really think of a huge signing that the Patriots made.
They did.
Just on that DJ Dog comment, 10 picks allows us to move around.
Yeah.
So if it means we didn't do that much moving around in this year's draft, from what I remember, we stayed at home and took our guys. So that works too. You know, you just let the draft come to you, but the 10 picks allow you to go and get somebody. You know, you could package that up. Say, you know, like you could use the 32nd pick. See what I did there?
I did.
To jump up to get somebody. You know, you could package 1, 3, and a 4 to move up to 28 or whatever. 32nd being high, just theoretical. I might add. But you never know.
I mean, this is what's going to happen. But I was just scrolling through Twitter there, and I saw a very good Twitter account, the Up and Adams Show, with a certain Miss Kay Adams talking to Sean Payton today, and Sean Payton thinks we're going to beat the Buccaneers. Have you any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think yes, there's talk in the background, I think.
Yeah. Has the flirtation begun?
Why is Sean Payton being asked about the Cowboys?
Yeah.
To me, I mean, I put the question on our private chat. He wasn't being asked about the Saints. He was being asked about the Cowboys. Now, we're not just America's team, obviously. The way, that's certainly the way to get comments, likes, posts, shares, argument, by quoting the Cowboys and asking them about the Cowboys. But I just thought it was a little bit interesting that he was asked about Cowboys football and not about Saints football. I mean, that's some amount of pressure he put on Mike McCarthy. Big Mike McCarthy loved that comment. He didn't beat the Buccaneers. Oh, that's a shame. You never know. Joe, on that comment, coaches can be traded too.
Like the comment here from Joe, and I think it's widely known throughout the NFL. Sean Payton is still under contract with the Saints until 2024, and they can't get him unless they trade for him. I'm going to say this now: if the Dallas Cowboys trade for Sean Payton and they don't trade for players, I'm going to be very, very, very peed off. There will be mic drops, there will be pen drops, and there might be a turning of the air blue.
But that's why Joe brings up the trade talk.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it just be a Jones move?
It would.
he's still under contract, and this is all hypothetical. And Joe is absolutely right. He is still under contract with the Saints, even though he's not paid. The contract is still there. But where did this talk start? Somebody started it. Now, did Peyton retire after McCarthy got the job? I think he did, didn't he? Maybe that's where it's coming from. Maybe it's all just media talk, putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 7. Who knows? They don't need it. They didn't. Mike McCarthy doesn't need it.
No, he doesn't.
And I think Kay Adams was being clever there, because being on a show called Good Morning Football, which has lower figures than they would like. It's my sole belief that they were asked to say strange things on Good Morning Football, because that's how the content gets shared. Did you see who said this about that?
Yeah.
There you are. Thanks for the comment, Andrew. I don't know. I don't know either myself, but anybody wants to go and check it out, you can go and check it out on the fan. That's another. It's crazy how we're talking about the next coach of the Cowboys, and we haven't even kicked off yet.
So the comment in there from Joe, and as always, folks, thank you for the comments. We do try and pull up every comment that comes in, and we do. If you send us a comment and we don't read it out straight away, we are trying to come back to it. We generally do have a script that we're working off, and we'll try and address the points as they are on that. But the comment from Joe is we already have the next coach for Dallas if McCarthy gets fired, and his name is Dan Quinn. I know 2 ladies in Dallas who would love Swag Daddy Danny Quinn as the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
He's a player's coach. He's certainly a player's coach, and his unit is ticking like clockwork, or hopefully will tick like clockwork. So there is every chance, Joe. There is every chance. But let's give McCarthy at least half a season first. I know, Brian, you've raised the comment, and it's a perfectly valid question. Why is Sean Payton talking about the Cowboys, but Sean Payton is talking about America's team, basically, on a show that's trying to get off the ground? And Andrew, I think Sean is absolutely right. We'll see how we get over the loss of Randy Gregory to Denver. We'll see how Anthony Barr steps in. For the other 9 positions, it's the starter is there from last year, as far as I'm aware. With the Malik Hooker could be a question mark. I don't know if Hooker started the season, but again, he came in late, so it's learning a completely different playbook. So he's had a good few months under the playbook. The defense is there. No concerns about the defense, and obviously Sean Payton likes the defense as well. You never know.
So Joe with the closing comment of the night. So I can't believe we're 5 days away from Cowboys football. We are indeed 5 days away. And I said I was going to ask Graham some quick fire questions. So we're going to try and get out of here in the next 2 minutes. So Graham has been prepped and he knows what the questions are. So I hope he's pulled up a few of these already. So Graham, the 2022 season for the Dallas Cowboys, who is going to be our MVP?
Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons. Does that not say an awful lot?
Does.
Yeah.
It does.
So, and folks, don't be afraid to send in your comments as well. So Joe has said that he thinks it will be Dak. So our offensive player of the year, who do you think?
Zeke Elliott.
I'm going to be totally unsexy, and I'm going to say Zach Martin, as he always is.
But see, that's the thing.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Right guards are not sexy, but they
Yeah.
get it done. He's just the guy. You know.
Yeah.
You could send Zach Martin to the Pro Bowl right now.
Yeah.
He's a lock.
100%.
He is a lock.
Yeah.
To Joe's comment about he would say Dak. Joe, I don't know if the rest of the offense is going to allow Dak to be MVP.
Yeah.
Yeah. He agrees with me. Joe agrees with me about Parsons, but on the Dak comment, is the line up to scratch? The wide receiver room is very young. Can Dalton Schultz have another great season at tight end? Remains to be seen.
Yeah.
On paper, it's questionable. Because remember that in terms of game ready wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb is the only wide receiver that has caught a touchdown pass. Now obviously Jalen Tolbert is fresh out of college. He could be an absolute stud, and I pray that he is. If he comes in and has 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns, what an addition! What a draft pick that will be, and it will soothe so many things, and it will help us reach the playoffs. But again, we just don't know. We just don't know.
So, defensive player of the year, not named Parsons.
I'm trying not to be obvious. We all know who, but I'm trying not to be obvious. I had to go with Diggs. It's got to be Diggs.
Yeah.
How could it
Joe,
not be?
Joe agrees. I'm going to go with Malik Hooker because I think he's had the year and he's come through his injuries. It seems, touching wood and everything like that, that he is injury free going into the season. And I think and hope and pray that the Dallas Cowboys have finally found me a free safety. So
long live the GOAT.
Long live the GOAT. So your rookie of the year, Mike or Graham?
Jalen Tolbert.
Okay. Your surprise player.
I'll clarify that by saying that there's going to be too much going on around Tyler Smith for him to play well. Yeah. There's going to be too much turbulence. There's going to be changes on his left, changes on his right. I just think I don't want to say set up to fail, but I think it's going to be a tough season for Tyler Smith, unfortunately.
Yeah. And Joe was saying Sam Williams. I'm going to throw in another name, and I'm going to add in Deron Bland potentially as your rookie of the year. So your surprise player for 2022, someone like a Trayvon Diggs from last year who comes out of nowhere. And Andrew is saying he reckons Ferguson will be the rookie of the year. So great comments.
My only thought about Ferguson, Williams, and remind me, Brian, who did you say?
Deron Bland.
Are they going to see the field enough?
Yeah.
Because Williams has Fowler, Armstrong, Basham to rotate in with. You're going to see less rotation for Tank, obviously, but I think that the other side of the line is going to be a bit of a rotation, whereas Jalen Tolbert will play quite easily 80% of the snaps this season. So I think Tolbert is in the position to go ahead and win that. To go back to the surprise player, God, I would love it to be Biadish. I really would. See if Biadish turned it round and had a stud season. Wow. Wouldn't that be incredible? To become an absolute fighting unit. If we could say that Biadish was a stud, think how easier you would be about that offensive line. If he was to become Travis Frederick level, that's obviously a huge step. But if he was to ascend to that level, you'd feel so much better about the offensive line. To be perfectly honest, it's not going to be Biadish. I think I've now got a blind spot about Tyler Biadish, unfortunately. I'm going to go with Paul's guy, Neville Gallimore.
Very good.
Necessarily a surprise, but can he double his sack?
Can he elevate?
Yeah.
And DJ Dog has thrown in Quentin Bohanna or Chauncey Goldston. And the guy I'd throw in is also Diggy Zua.
You can tell there's a running theme. We've just rounded off defensive tackles. And I think that's where Cowboys Nation wants to believe there'll be a surprise player. Somebody that ascends to, like an 8 or 9 sack guy.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if we have that on the interior right now. See when you've got a defensive tackle that can collapse the pocket, it makes things so much more difficult. And that's why I was a little bit concerned when they took Jordan Davis, because the pocket against the Eagles is going to collapse pretty quickly.
Yeah,
it's tough. It's a concern, because I said earlier on in the show that's why they've taken so many defensive players. It's to get at our offense. It's to disrupt our offense, because that's the only way. You're not going to win the NFC East until you topple the Cowboys' offense, and that's why they've done it.
Yeah. So we just have a comment in here from Joseph. Do we think Travis Frederick would return for a year?
I think we're both
100%.
We're both on the same
page.
That is
not. It's not happening.
No, unfortunately not, because he is, as far as I'm aware, he's given up on football. He is a lot leaner. He doesn't have the muscle structure anymore. The football brain's still there, but I don't think football is in his thoughts at the minute. I think, and that's got to be quite crushing to a player to be torn away from the game a little too early. It's a real shame what happened to Travis Frederick, but unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be an option. Unfortunately,
no. I know Barry, our sponsor from Cowboys Experience, works a lot with Travis. Travis helps him out with the Cowboys Experience in game day, and the day before and games like that. And as Graham has said, he's lost, I think, between 3 and 4 stone of muscle and weight that he would need to put back on, which he just can't handle. And I also believe he has moved back to Wisconsin. So he's no longer even in the Dallas area.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So the last 2 questions, Graham, that I have: who is going to be a letdown this season?
Brian, we don't have time to answer this question.
Right.
As much as the addition of Jason Peters helps, let's face it, we're going to see Connor McGovern eventually. Right off the bat.
Yeah.
I swear, DJ Dog,
Yeah.
I said it before you commented, but you commented. We're going to see Connor McGovern. I've referred to him as the backup's backup, and that's exactly what he is. There seemed to be a point in the season where it was in preseason where it was like we were okay with Connor McGovern starting at left guard, and in what world did anybody think that was going to be okay? I mean, the deal that Connor Williams got in Miami is incredible, absolutely incredible. What game tape were you watching? Were you watching his college tape? Because it's certainly, I mean, unless they've got a black and white TV and they didn't see all the yellow flags around Connor Williams. And then you've got a guy that McGovern who basically sat and waited on the opportunity to then elevate him as a starter. That was desperation. So DJ Dog is spot on. It's going to be Connor McGovern.
Yeah. DJ Dog is also saying his surprise player could be Matt Ferniuk, especially if Biadish flops, which I think I think the guy, both myself and yourself, have a little bit of hope for Graham is actually Alec Lindstrom, if he can put on a bit of bulk. Yeah.
Is he on the practice squad right now?
He's on the practice squad, yeah.
I wanted Lindstrom to come in and challenge. I wanted there to be a serious competition there. Is Farniok centre caliber? Can he deal with the assignments and the snap?
Yeah,
I think we're going to find out at some point. It's a shame because Biadish followed Travis Frederick, who was one of the best. But for me, I've developed a blind spot now. I don't see it. I just don't see it.
Yeah. So David Reed saying thanks for sharing. Welcome along, David. I don't think we've had you on before. And as we say, make sure, keep the comments flying in. It's great to have everybody putting their thoughts in as well. Andrew saying he's looking forward to seeing Collins coming back with the Bengals in week 2, and that it could be tasty. It very much could be. It's a very, very tasty battle. The last one I have for you, Graham. Who is going to be the breakout player for this year?
Can a rookie be a breakout player?
Yes.
Can he be more than we thought he was going to be, like a Diggs?
Yeah.
Because I think it's all set up for Jalen Tolbert.
Yeah.
The opportunity to be the second receiver on this offense, I think the opportunity is there for Tolbert. Like we've talked about the surprise player, and a couple of players came up, but I don't know if they're going to get the snap count to be that player. Where, like I said earlier, Tolbert's going to see the field at least 80% of the snaps. I don't know if that could it possibly be Sam Williams. I don't know. Like, remember, he's coming up against tackles that have seen it and done it. Looks good in preseason, but I don't know if he's going up against the ones all that much. I think the ones are going to be a different story. And the bull rush isn't necessarily going to work as much as he would like it to. So I'm going to go with Jalen Tolbert.
Brilliant. So I didn't think we were going to do it, Graham, but we've gone for an hour and a half, and we've kind of.
Mike will be delighted at that.
Yeah, Mike will be loving it. He will. I'm sure he's shaking his head right now and saying, "Will you two ever wrap it up?" But Mike and the guys will be along. Graham, I'm sure you'll probably be along on Thursday at 9:00 here in the UK and Ireland, 3 in the East, or 4 on the East Coast, 3:00 in Texas, and 1 on Pacific time.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I can't believe we're here. It's finally time to get the 49ers game taste out of our mouth. Get rid of that. Get shot of that. Forget all about it. That was last year. This is this year. I'm just ready to go. It'll be interesting to see everybody's ones, because I think I said on Thursday's show that some of the ones around the league won't have played for 3 weeks. Like, you saw the 2s, 3s, and 4s in the last games for every club. So to have last Sunday effectively off, and then to go a whole week, is everybody going to be game ready? We'll soon find out. Everybody's excited. DJ Jog's excited. Hopefully, I mean, it's a little bit early, but what do we think? What do we think with the Buccaneers coming in? My big concern, I know we're going to touch on Thursday's show a little bit, but my big concern is I always remember Belichick and Tom Brady. The week after the bye, it was nigh on impossible to beat Tom Brady and Belichick after the bye because they had that much time to do their homework. Think how long Tom Brady's had to do his homework on the Cowboys D. So that's tough. He's coming in with a good set of receivers. Diggs, Brown, Lewis, Hooker, they're going to have their work cut out for them, but it's exciting. No wonder it's Sunday night football. Sunday night football. Can't wait. Let's go 1 a.m. 1 a.m.
Coffee at the ready, and swag daddy Danny Quinn in looking sharp and having his boys ready. It is going to be fun. But as we say, look, Mike and the guys will be along Thursday. They will build you up for the game. So make sure you're tuned in. Hopefully you'll have Graham along, and then we will be back here next Tuesday night, same time. We will be doing an in-depth review of the Cowboys' first victory of the season. Make sure on Monday you have your polo ready for Victory Polo Monday. Make sure you're well fueled up and have plenty of coffee at the ready for the day, because it's going to be a late one, but it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, fast start. To go 1-0 is an awful lot better than 0-1, because 0-1 puts you on the back foot. So hopefully we get the win.
Absolutely. So it's a good night from me. I'll leave the last word to Graham.
Will we chat about our good friends over in the US?
Oh yes, absolutely we will. Just give me 1 second. Oh, I actually managed to get that right. So, guys over at.
So if you're planning to go to a game this year, make sure you've got the Cowboys experience. You can see from the pictures just how good it looks to see see other fans, to see the starters turn up and shake their hands, sign footballs, great photos. You might only go to one game. Why wouldn't you make it the best game? So make sure you book with Cowboys Experience and use that discount code UK Cowboys, because you know what happens, Brian.
Yes, you get chocolate pudding.
Well, long-time listeners to the show will know exactly what that means.
And you will also look. Make sure you use the code. You will get free stuff. You will be looked after like absolute royalty. Barry is one of the best guys you will ever meet in the Dallas Cowboys family. He will look after you. He will make sure you have a great time, and you will not regret it. And you will want to go back. We do have our travel package for 2023. So make sure and stay tuned to all of our media. So our Facebook, our Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch. Am I missing anything at this stage, Graham?
No.
Even on MySpace.
I signed out about 5 minutes ago, so that's cool.
Right, and make sure at the final shout out, as always, our friends over in the US, as Graham said. So the likes of J Tuck, Skywalker Steel, Brandon and Marcus from Cowboys Y'all, Katie's Fun Tweets, the Cowboys' own media team. They all pump out the content every single day of the week. Make sure and tune in on Sunday to our own Paul Stewart and the very lovely Meg Murray for the World's Team podcast. And as I say, last word to Graham.
Joe, keep that prediction for Thursday's show. Make sure you join us Thursday's show. We won't bring it up just yet, but keep that in your mind.
It's a good night, folks. Take care.
See you next time.